Chapter 21. A different type of stranger. Mark felt it before he saw it. That eerie prickle at the back of his neck, the tightening in his chest as if the air itself was whispering that something was off. Someone was following him. But that was impossible. He was invisible. Still, the feeling gnawed at him. An instinct. A certainty. He glanced at his hands, flicking his fingers. The cloaking device was still active, wrapping him in its veil, bending light in ways no human should be able to perceive. And yet, she could. Home was no longer safe. The second he stepped into his house, the sensation faded. Walls, security, familiarity. Mark exhaled sharply, shutting the door behind him, removing the gizmo as its energy fizzled away, returning him to the visible world. And that was when he heard it. Boom, boom, boom. A knock. Forceful, precise, deliberate. Something about it wasn't normal. Mark's breath hitched as he approached the door, hand hovering just shy of the knob. He swung it open, and there she was. Not just any girl. She was exactly as he remembered her from the crowd, except now, under the porch light, her features were more vivid, more unreal. Her skin had that golden undertone, not in the way of a suntan, but in a way that seemed woven into her biology, like she absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Her dark hair, braided with thin silver threads, shimmered subtly with each movement, alive, as if the strands responded to more than wind. And her eyes, not normal, not human, deep violet, swirling with flecks of brighter indigo, as if the cosmos itself had nestled behind her irises. She stared at him, not with curiosity, not with fear, but with knowing, like she had been expecting this moment. The question that changed everything. "So," she said, voice steady, smooth, eerily calm. "Where did you get it?" Mark stiffened. His pulse pounded. His grip tightened on the doorframe. How did she know? "How did you get inside my house before me?" His voice came out sharper than he expected. She tilted her head slightly, a trace of amusement flashing in her eyes. "I walked. You just didn't see me." Mark took a half step back, swallowing hard. "That's not possible." She smirked. "You of all people should know. What's possible is relative." His fingers curled into his palm, heat spreading across his skin. Who was she? "What's your name?" he asked, half demand, half plea. She hesitated, just for a second. Then, "My name is Nimba." A pause, a shift, an acknowledgement. "But on this planet, my name is Mia. I saw your heat signature regardless of the cloaking device you acquired. Pretty cool device, but it didn't fool me." A stranger. No more. Mark's breath shuddered. This girl, this impossible girl, was not human. She knew about the gizmos. She had been watching him. And now, she wasn't hiding anymore. Beneath the human mask, Mark tightened his grip on the gizmo behind his back, pulse pounding in his ears. This was too much, too fast, too real. An alien. Standing in his doorway, speaking perfect English, studying humans for years. Mia, or Nimba, held his gaze, her expression calm but sharp, like someone waiting for the exact moment to strike. "You are looking at my suit," she said, voice smooth, deliberate, just slightly off in its rhythm, as if she was still adjusting to human cadence. Mark shuffled back, glancing at her hands, her shoulders, the fine shimmer of her hair beneath the porch light. She looked human enough, except for the eyes, and the way she moved, fluid, controlled, too effortless. The truth beneath the mask. Mark stared, unblinking, as Mia, or Nimba, shed her disguise like an insect molting its shell. The human illusion peeled away in slow, deliberate waves, revealing the being inside, a childlike figure, small, slender, limbs slightly elongated, skin a matte silver gray that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the light. Her eyes, pure black pools, locked onto him, studying his reaction not with fear, but with something closer to amusement. Then the voice, inside his head. "Is this too much for you?" Mark shuddered, not from fear, excitement of the situation. "This is disturbing," he admitted out loud, his voice barely stable. But Nimba didn't seem fazed. "A matter of perspective. This is no different or less disgusting than when humans take off their clothes, their socks and underwear." Mark blinked, thrown by the comparison. "Yeah, but," he stammered, searching for the words. Nimba tilted her head, observing him like a scientist watching an experiment unfold. "Something tells me this is not the first time you've seen an alien." Mark stiffened. He had been careful, silent, never speaking of his past encounter, never telling a soul. "No," he admitted finally, voice tight, cautious. "But you're the first Grey I've seen." A telepathic revelation. And then, aha! The telepathic scream rattled through Mark's skull with more force than words ever could, sending a shock through his body, his pulse quickening. "So you admit it!" Nimba's voice buzzed against his thoughts like electricity. She knew. She had figured it out instantly. Mark swallowed hard, gripping the gizmo tighter behind his back, his mind racing. "So your name is Nimba," Mark pressed, grasping for some kind of control. "But your human suit's name is Mia. How should I call you?" She paused, considering. "That's correct," she said finally. "Call me Mia." "Why are you telling me this? Why are you revealing yourself to me?" Nimba stepped closer, her small frame strangely powerful despite its size, her gaze steady. "Because," she said, her thoughts pressing against his mind like weightless steel, "you are not just another human. You—" She hesitated for the briefest moment, then continued, "You are entangled in something far greater than you realize." The words settled in Mark's bones. Not an accident, not a random encounter, not coincidence. "Entangled in what?" Mark whispered, but Nimba did not answer. "Not yet. The deal you didn't know you made." Mia's suit sealed shut, the human illusion resetting like the lid of a puzzle box clicking into place. The eerie silver threads in her hair stopped their faint shimmering. Her violet eyes returned. And yet, Mark knew better now. He wasn't looking at Mia. He was looking at Nimba. "What are you going to do about it?" Mark pressed, his voice firm, his grip tightening on the gizmo in his hand. Mia smirked. "I already did something about it." Mark blinked, suddenly uncomfortable with the certainty in her tone. "What does that mean?" She tilted her head, too amused, too calm, too in control. "It means this encounter was never a question of whether it would happen. It means I already decided how this goes." Mark's stomach tightened. "Decided what?" Mia stepped closer, just enough for the space between them to suddenly feel too small, too significant, too controlled. "I've been watching you since before you even knew I existed," she admitted. "And now, I need to know one thing." A choice that wasn't really a choice. Mark held his breath, unsure whether he should be terrified or intrigued. Mia, or Nimba, leaned in slightly, studying him like a scientist does a specimen. "Are you going to play along?" she asked, her voice silk smooth. "Or do I have to make it more interesting?" Mark swallowed hard. "What does playing along mean?" She smiled, not a sweet smile, but a knowing one. "It means I give you access to knowledge no human has ever earned. And it means you don't ask questions you're not prepared to hear the answers to. The next move." The air buzzed with tension, the kind that meant Mark wasn't in control anymore. He had stepped into something way bigger than himself. And the worst part? Mia, no, Nimba, was enjoying it. So did Mark play the game, follow her lead, see how deep the mystery went? Or did he challenge her, force the truth out of her before it was too late? The unlikely pact. Mark's grip tightened on Mia's shoulders, frustration bubbling beneath his skin. "I swear, you speak in riddles." He shook his head. "Just tell me plainly, what do you actually want me to do?" Mia, no, Nimba, didn't flinch. Instead, she mimicked his movement, placing her own hands on his shoulders, mirroring his intensity but with a smirk that betrayed her amusement. "Oh, come on, you can figure that out, can't you?" Mark exhaled sharply, forcing himself to keep his cool. An alien spy with a teenage problem. "Look," Mia finally continued, dropping the teasing tone. "I'm 32 years old in human years, but in my species, I'm basically where you are, a teenager." Mark blinked, thrown by the casual confession. "Wait, you're—" "Yes, Mark. I'm young," she admitted, rolling her eyes dramatically. "And being a spy? Totally sucks." She leaned back against the wall, crossing her arms. "Lonely, dangerous, boring. And frankly, it gets exhausting pretending to be perfectly adjusted when I literally don't feel emotions the way you do." Mark raised a brow. "So, what do you feel?" Mia tapped her fingers against her arm, thinking for a moment. "It's not that we don't feel emotions. We do." She frowned slightly. "But they're calculated, structured, controlled. I can feel fear without panicking. I can feel frustration without losing my temper. I can observe your emotional responses, but they don't hit me the way they hit you." She stared at him. "That's what fascinates me. The deal that keeps her here." "So," Mark ventured, reading between the lines, "you should probably report that someone else, besides your species, is visiting Earth, but you don't want to." Mia's eyes darkened slightly, their violet hue catching the dim glow of the room. "Because if I do," she said simply, "I'll be replaced by someone older, with more experience. Someone boring. Someone who wouldn't hesitate to abduct you and interrogate you." Mark's stomach twisted. "Abduct me?" "Yes," she interrupted bluntly. "You should appreciate how much I'm risking by not doing that myself." Mark wasn't sure whether to feel grateful or deeply concerned. "Okay," Mark finally said, running a hand through his hair. "So you want me to help you keep your assignment in this sector? You want me to keep quiet?" "Exactly. But there's more." Mia leaned in, grinning slightly, and for the first time since meeting her, Mark saw actual excitement in her expression. "I want to fit in." Mark blinked slowly. "What?" "I want to experience what it's like to be a human teenager." Mark stared, processing. "Let me get this straight." He raised a hand. "You, a literal alien spy, want me to help you enroll in middle school and make friends?" Mia nodded matter-of-factly, as if requesting help with algebra. "Yes." The rules that had to exist. Mark ran his hands down his face, laughing in disbelief. "Okay, this is insane, but fine, I'll do it." Mia grinned like someone who had just won a long game bet. Mark grabbed a notepad. "But there have to be rules." Mark's rules for a teenage alien by Rule 1. You can communicate with me telepathically, but you cannot read my thoughts without consent. Rule 2. I will tell you about other aliens when you earn my trust. Rule 3. No hurting anyone unless it's self-defense. I don't know what you're capable of, but I'm not about to be responsible for any unexplained deaths or disappearances. Rule 4. No acting impulsively. I'll reach out when I need you to do something. I'll be consulting someone for advice before we dive into this. Mia glanced at the list, unimpressed. "Consulting who?" Mark hesitated. "Uncle Morris." Mia grinned wide, the kind of knowing, mischievous grin that made Mark's stomach drop. "You just broke your own first rule," Mark shouted. "You just pulled that out of my brain, didn't you?" "Nope. I figured that out before you started your stupid rules," Mia replied. "And I have some rules of my own." Mark huffed, shoving the notepad toward her. "Fine, then you get some rules too." Mia's rules for Mark. Mia snatched the notepad, pen poised. Rule 1. Mark has the right to be cute. She grinned as Mark groaned. "This is ridiculous." "Yeah, but now if someone reads your notes, at least they'll assume you're crushing on someone instead of planning an alien conspiracy." Mark rolled his eyes, but he chuckled. And just like that, the tension dissolved. The plan set in motion. "Okay, Mark said, laughing lightly. "I'll help you fit in, but you're telling me everything about your species, your world, and your mission." Mia smirked, offering her hand. "Deal." Mark shook it. He couldn't believe what he was getting into. This school year, it was going to be legendary. The third mystery. Mark stood in the doorway, watching Nimba, vanish into the distance, her movements controlled, deliberate, yet oddly human. It was strange. He wasn't attracted to her as Mia. The suit was just an illusion, a pretty, convincingly human exterior. But Nimba, that was different. Her sharp intelligence, her intuitive sarcasm, the way she both commanded power and fumbled through human emotions. There was something captivating about her, but not in the way a normal crush would be. It was deeper, harder to define. A curiosity, a challenge, a pull towards something unknown. Mark shook his head, forcing himself back to reality. Because there was one more unanswered question. The third gizmo, sealing himself away from prying eyes. Mark turned sharply, scanning the street once more, ensuring Mia was truly gone. Then, the backyard. Empty. Still, he felt exposed, as if some unseen presence was still watching. Paranoia? Or something else? He rushed upstairs, shutting his bedroom door, locking it. He grabbed the curtain cords and yanked the blinds closed. Only then, surrounded by silence, did he feel secure enough to finally figure out what the third device could do. A moment of anticipation. Mark placed the gizmo on his desk, staring at it like he expected it to blink, hum, or whisper secrets in his ear. It was different from the others. The anti-gravity device had been obvious. It manipulated the gravity of things. The cloaking device had been self-explanatory. It bent light, making him disappear. But this one had no immediate clues, no buttons that screamed, "Press here for ultimate power." Just a series of shifting lines and symbols, glowing faintly beneath its surface. Whatever it wasn't simple. Mark exhaled slowly. "All right, mystery gadget. Let's see what you can do." The final secret. The holographic interface shimmered above the device, glyphs twisting in an intricate dance, hovering, shifting, pulsing faintly like they were waiting for a command. Mark gritted his teeth, scanning them, trying to decipher their meaning. There was no pattern he recognized, no clear indication of what each symbol represented. And that was dangerous. Because pressing the wrong glyph, whatever that meant, could end badly. Or worse, very badly. Mark forced himself to think logically, breaking down what the gizmo could be for. The first two made sense in alien expeditions. 1. Anti-gravity, for transporting heavy specimens. Invisibility, for staying undetected. But this third one? What was the missing necessity? He ran through possibilities. Communication? Maybe a way to translate languages or send messages between species. Containment? A shield? A force field? Something meant to trap rather than transport? Navigation? A star map? A portal stabilizer? Each idea felt plausible. Each idea felt equally dangerous. And the only way to find out? Press the glyphs. Mark exhaled sharply, bracing himself. A safe test zone. He couldn't do this here. Not in his room. Not in his house, where one mistake might level the living room or cause his mom to walk in and ask why the furniture was floating. No, he needed space. Somewhere controlled. Somewhere away from prying eyes. Somewhere he could make mistakes without consequences. And he knew just the place.